Hundreds of people from all across the state, right here in Orange County, are on their way to Tallahassee. Our cameras were rolling as the buses pulled out of the Orange County area earlier this morning. The people on board will be meeting with lawmakers about the importance of having voting rights restored for ex-felons. Let's bring in Neil Volz. He's with the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition. Neil, good to see you. Now, this law, right, supposed to be self-implementing, meaning the language not vague, not so vague that convicted murderers or even sex offenders would slip through the system. So why do we need to have this rally? Why are lawmakers holding off on implementing it?
Well, thanks for having me, Rob. I really appreciate it. And we've got hundreds of folks from all over the state, lots of people from the Orlando area. Here, we're at Bethel AME Church in Tallahassee. We're doing some training, and we're talking to folks who are going to go advocate for issues of importance to people with past felony convictions, one of which is Amendment 4, to make sure that it's fully implemented. I've gotten my right to vote back. I registered. I got my card. People across the state have actually already voted in municipal elections, so it is self-executing, but there are people who are talking about clarifying this amendment in a way that we think could be dangerous and could lead to disenfranchisement. And so we just want to make sure that our voices are heard on this important issue and other issues.
You said that you got yourself registered. Do we have any idea about how many ex-felons actually got themselves registered since, I think it was January? Because it's not something that people self-select, and you can, some folks just go in and register and don't want people to know their past as any individual's prerogative. But we know thousands and thousands of people are registered, and many more will as we begin the process of voter registration kickoff that will happen here after Advocacy Day. We view it more as an ability, an opportunity to engage the community, not just to get voters registered, but more to get civically engaged. Well, let me ask you this. When you get up to Tallahassee, what's the game plan? Are you going to be meeting with lawmakers when you get up there, or is it just a rally?
No, we're meeting with lawmakers. We have meetings with almost 3/4 of the lawmakers. We have people from all over the state who are excited to exercise their constitutional rights and to be heard for the first time in a long time, or the first time ever. And the issues that we're really advocating for are to fully implement Amendment 4 to help break down barriers to jobs for people with past felony convictions. Those of us with convictions know how hard it is to get employment just because you have a felony conviction. And I think that most people across the state, when they hear about that, just like Amendment 4, like, that doesn't make any sense. We want to create jobs in safer communities. And then we also want to work on some other issues that relate to criminal justice. But those are the big issues that we're advocating for, and we believe that it's an opportunity to be heard by the elected officials.
Neil, I think the last time we talked to you, we talked about maybe a mayoral race that might be impacted by the lack of the implementation of the law. Are there any delays that we foresee because this law has not been executed just yet? Meaning specifically, could this thing really even drag on to the 2020 election?
Well, what we're seeing is that it is self-executing. People are registering to vote and actually voting, and that there are discussions about clarifying some of the terms that are now in the Constitution of Florida. Things like, what does it mean to complete your sentence is one of the issues that we are here to lobby for. We know that when the amendment passed, it's very clear that sentence is completed when you finish what the judge said you needed to do. And so if anybody wants to try and move on from the process that already exists, we believe that that's unconstitutional. And therefore, we're expressing ourselves about that. But we believe by working together with all sides that we can move this forward in a good way and allow those of us who are now re-entering the community and the voting system to express ourselves through the voting process. And we're really grateful to be here, grateful that you're shining the light on this. It's a celebration all across the state for the biggest expansion of democracy we've seen in 50 years.
We've been watching the major steps you've taken so far, and we'll certainly be watching what goes on in Tallahassee as these final steps are put into place. Neil Volz, we always appreciate you. Thank you, sir.